You're listening to the Hazard Ground Podcast, with service members from across the military sharing their stories of combat and survival. And now, here's your host, Mark Zinno.
Welcome into the Hazard Ground Podcast. As always, we appreciate you joining us each and every week. Before we get started with another story from COP Keating, yes, we're going back to the Battle of Kamdesh this week. We wanted to remind you about all of our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Hazard Ground Podcast. As well, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we get a lot of great comments from you guys on our YouTube channel. As well, we want you to keep the comments coming and those reviews coming on Apple Podcasts. We are continuing to grow. But guys, remember, this is a great way for other people who don't know about this podcast to learn about it. The more reviews we get, the more Apple will push this podcast to the front of their top podcasts and people can see it and learn more about it. So we can't do it without your help. So again, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Doesn't have to be a long review. If you're listening to this on your smartphone, you can just scroll down to the bottom of the main Hazard Ground homepage. There is a rating button there and a review. Just click it, type something in, and send it on its way, and it's a great, great help to us. Don't forget about our promotion with Amazon. You can go to our website, hazardground.com. You click on the Sponsors tab and hit the Amazon button, or go to the bottom of the homepage and click on the Amazon button there. You get to do all of your normal Amazon shopping. Same thing works on your smartphone. If you go to hazardground.com through your web browser, it'll take you right to the app, so all of your information is saved, your credit card's in there and everything. It's really easy. And whatever you spend, we get a percentage of. Then we donate a percentage of that back to some of the great charities and organizations you've heard featured here on the Hazard Ground. So again, continue to help out veterans across America just by doing your normal Amazon shopping and going to hazardground.com first. And finally, if you have a guest suggestion, please send us an email, producer@hazardground.com, and we will take a look at it. We have gotten a bunch of guests from suggestions from you listeners. So please keep them coming. Producer@hazardground.com, and send us an email with any of your other thoughts, and we'll certainly take the time to get back to everybody. We appreciate all the love and support and how much you guys are a big part of this Hazard Ground community. Now let's get on to this week's episode. Joining us this week on the Hazard Ground is another member of COP Keating and the Battle of Kamdesh. He is a former Army specialist who spent about 3.5 years in the Army with a lone deployment to Afghanistan, and he has been part of a story that we have told several times here on the Hazard Ground, but it's very important that we get as many different perspectives and as many different vantage points of one of the most important battles in the war of Afghanistan. He is Chris Jones joining us on the Hazard Ground. Chris, welcome, brother, and thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, another story from COP Keating. I enjoy this story thoroughly, and it certainly is one that I think is sort of underserved as far as military stories is concerned. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows about the results of it, but there are so many layers and levels to this. So we'll get to your role in the Battle of Kamdesh, but start back at the beginning and tell me how and why you got in the Army.
My family was needed just a little bit of help. We had some hard times a few years before I joined the Army, and my dad busted his rear end and got us to a good point. But I just wanted to help them out, and I always wanted to serve since I was a kid, but I didn't have any money for college. I remember Dad was taking me to college to get enrolled, and he's telling me all about it. And I just told him to take me to the recruiter. I just wanted to get it over with, honestly, and just kind of see what it was like and see the world, and just a bunch of reasons.
So when you were going in, did you have any idea what you were walking into? I mean, did you know anything about the Army? Anybody in your family or anybody you knew that signed up?
I had some friends that I went to high school with that joined the Army, and they joined the infantry. Both my grandpas were served. One was in the Marines in the Pacific. The other was in the Korean War, and he was with the Army. But I never heard anything or knew anything about it, honestly. I just, from what I watched on movies or just would look on the internet. But those guys that I went to high school with that went before me, they helped me out and gave me some tips. And Like my buddy Marvin Jones, he joined the infantry probably 2 years before me, and he came home, and I just asked him advice, and I was all gung ho, and I wanted to join, like just do everything, and he was like, "Man, just calm down and do something light, and see if you like it, because once you sign up and you don't do these jobs correctly, or you don't pass, you're kind of stuck, and they put you where they want." So he was a real good guy that helped me out with that stuff. But yeah, I was kind of clueless, honestly.
What did your parents say when you told them that you wanted to sign up, in a sense that, like, you're entering while two wars are going on?
Oh man, they were. My dad always tried to get me to join the Coast Guard or something.
Why do we laugh? We shouldn't do that to the Coast Guard, but we laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what he was saying. He just wanted me to have a career. He told me to do 20 years or, something like that. He was always giving me ideas to something to do, and I just wanted to be. I even talked to a Coast Guard recruiter, and I don't know. I just wanted to be infantry in the Army, and my dad went with me to the recruiter, and my recruiter even tried to talk me out of it. He said, "Don't do it." My mom was terrified and just really emotional. But it's just something I wanted to do, and they supported me 100%, man. God bless my family.
Well, okay, so I've heard a lot of recruiter horror stories and a lot of recruiter, mishaps. I haven't heard many of my recruiter tried to talk me out of signing up. How did that conversation go?
Well, he just tried to talk me out of the infantry. He tried to get me to do, I think, like commo. Even I wanted to be a tanker at first. I wanted to do something with tanks, and he said, "Man, you're too big," because I'm 6'3", and he's just, "You're way too tall." So I said, "Man, let's just do infantry," and yeah, he just tried to talk me out of it, and especially when my dad talked to him, he just I don't know. When I look back at it now, maybe he just didn't want to see my family cry or something like that, or I don't know. But he just tried to get me to do something else. He tried to get me to be a cook. Yeah, but no, I just told him I want to do the infantry and I want to go. I want to leave as soon as possible.
Leave is in like leave for the Army, right? Like not like leave the country.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. Just out of curiosity, do you remember what your scores were on the ASVAB and everything else?
Not good.
So it looks like it was infantry regardless, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I can't remember exactly. I just know I didn't care when I had it in. I think I had it in high school, like junior year or something. I was more into other stuff, and I just didn't care about school, and so I just didn't. I didn't try, and I was just going to take it, whatever it was. So Yeah.
So when do you raise your right hand? Like, what's your day of your enlistment? Do you remember?
Oh man.
Month, year?
October. I'm pretty sure. Like when I raised my right hand, I can't remember, honestly. I know that when I was in that building, because it's real quick. I know like my start date is October 3rd, 2008.
Okay.
And but when I was in there, the guy said, "All right, I want everybody to close their eyes. And if you don't feel," and this room is full of people. And he said, "If you don't feel like joining and you change your mind, and because this is it," he said, "You're more welcome to leave." And I thought maybe like 2 people left. When I opened my eyes, over half the room was gone. Yeah. everybody next to me were gone.
Are you thinking, damn, I should have walked out?
Yeah, I was like, man, they must know something I don't.
Right.
But he was really honest with us, and maybe that scared him. But I was going.
Do you know if any of those people ever actually got back in, or they were like free at that point?
I know I rode with one guy back to where I was from, and he just said he couldn't do it.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah. All right. So when you head off to basic, do you have any idea like what it's going to be like? Did you do any research on it? Did you look into it, or you just sort of were winging it?
I did a little bit. Asked my buddy, like I said, and no, I just kind of went at it, man.
Did you think it was physically demanding or no?
Yeah, at first. I played basketball in high school, so I was kind of familiar with, being smoked a lot.
Right.
But yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it was a shock, but it was real demanding.
Any point in basic where you're thinking, you know what, when they gave me the chance to run out of the room, I should have done it?
And it's funny you say that, because when I was, I always find myself in these situations. So this we were standing next to, we were at Fort Benning. And we're standing there to get all like our gear, some stuff, like layers right home, soap and stuff like that. We're all in formation. This drill sergeant walks by, and I'll never forget this guy. This guy was pretty intense. His name was Sergeant Pesnick. I think he was the sergeant. He wasn't the drill sergeant. And he was just there at 30th AG to watch us, and that's what he did. He watched us. But he walked up to us and he said, "Who wants to go home? They're doing this thing where anybody that wants to go home, you can leave right now. They'll even pay for you to go to the airport or the bus stop." And I was like, "No, this is a trick." And again, everybody raised their hand, and I didn't. And he smoked everybody that raised their hand. And, it's just me and like one other person standing there. I was like, this is. Once I joined and I seen just how intense they were, I was like, it's done. There's no way I can get out of this. And I didn't want to. I wanted to do it,
So after basic, you head off to AIT, infantry school, and everything else. I mean, is there any point, is there a culture shock for any of this for you, or are you just kind of going with the flow for the most part?
I'm just kind of going with the flow, man. I love the infantry. I loved everything about it. It fit me real good. I liked it a lot. That was a pleasant surprise.
Why do you say it was a pleasant surprise?
Well, I mean, you just never really know, what you're getting yourself into. I was hoping I was just be able to do it. And also, too, I don't know the people that I'm going to meet and serve with, so I'm just I have a little bit of anxiety about that. And I just want to perform good. And, so the infantry was just, it makes men, man. It really does. And I excelled in basic. I love basic, and though there were parts, like anybody, where you hate it, you kind of want to go home, and you're sick of it, or whatever the case is. But overall, I loved it.
Was that one of those things where you didn't really come to that realization till after the fact, or were you aware, like while you were going through it, like, man, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is awesome.
Yeah, that was basically it. It was awesome to me. I remember, rut marching. I remember doing that the first time, and it killed me. And it was because I didn't have my ruck on. I've went hiking a lot, but I never went like backpacking, I guess. And the drill sergeant Darling helped me and showed me how to do it, man. And man, when we got out there and we rucked, it was like I was in my own zone, man. When we were rucking, I loved it. I was real good at it. I got long legs and I can stride real good. And when people are passing out, and I'm just still going.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with rucking, right? Like it's definitely more mental than it is physical, and it's definitely how you handle the little things that could trip you up or annoy you. Whether it's your foot rubbing in your sock the wrong way, where you know a blister's coming, or it's a pressure point that the ruck is putting on your back somewhere or your shoulders, and it's just kind of one of those things where how much can you tune that stuff out,
Right.
and just keep stepping, right?
Right, exactly. And man, it was just fun. I remember, like I said, it was just when we would ruck, I was in my zone. It was great. And I'm from the South, and my dad raised me to shoot. And so I wanted to make a point to show everybody that I know how to shoot, and that's what I did. And man, I loved the ranges that the Army had. I love Fort Benning, man. It was fun. Shot expert. I mean, the skills I learned from my drill sergeants were excellent. Not even just my drill sergeants, other drill sergeants and cadres that I would meet. I mean, of course, they're in your face and stuff like that, man. But they're trying to keep you alive, you know. They were just real cool dudes.
It's interesting. You talk about how much you love shooting. I don't know if you're aware, and this is a complete side note, how much the Army has changed their individual weapons qualification standards. Are you aware of any of this?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Oh, it is off the charts different. I mean, it's no more, 20 from prone supported, 20 from prone unsupported. There are magazine changes now. There is 4 different positions. It's all one-timed event where the clock doesn't stop. And you go all the way through. I mean, it's, you got to kneel, you got to stand, you got to go unsupported, you got to, it's literally like it's almost like if you're looking at like a profile of steps, and you have this thing in front of you where you're basically firing from 4 different positions, but it's wildly different now. And the way it goes is that you have to hit certain like gates. And if you fail one gate, you can't move on to the next one. Right. So it's become a lot more, I guess, combat oriented is more of what they're looking for. But again, side note discussion. I always felt like when it came to the range, you're shooting for a score, so just shoot the best you can, right? It's nothing about the old school qualification was ever really combat oriented.
No, it isn't, and I think that's good that they're doing that because I love doing that too, stuff like that, and but. They should probably do both. You should qualify and get in tune with your. Because I would have guys come up to me and they're like, they had these machines that would show you where you're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I don't remember where he's from. He said, "Man, you're just. How can you shoot like this? I think people need to get in touch personally with their weapon, man. It's just you need to know how to shoot that thing, and. But that new that sounds pretty cool actually.
I mean you can check it out online. You can just Google it for the new Army IWQ standards, and you'll read all about how they do it. And if you're somebody who likes the range, go out there and give it a shot one day. Anyway, I digress.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Figured you might enjoy that information. All right, so after Fort Benning, you're heading off to 4ID at this point in time, correct? Is that your first duty station?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just me and maybe I was the only one in my platoon, and then 2 other guys. Yeah.
When do you actually arrive at Fort Carson?
I got there. Let's see. I got there in I think February, early February. Yeah.
Now
maybe like the first week. Yeah.
When you get there, how quickly are you hearing about Afghanistan at this point?
I heard about Afghanistan on my because we got our orders before they made us take leave at basic for Christmas, and or maybe I got there in January. I can't remember. It's in that time frame somewhere. But this guy, when I got back, he said, "You're going to 4th ID, Fort Carson." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "They're deploying to Afghanistan, so you're going to Afghanistan." So I heard about it before I got there, and then when I got there, that's what everyone was talking about.
When you first heard it, what was your first thought, first feeling?
I said, we trained solely on Iraq. Like most of Benning was, besides a few ranges where you're, in the woods or, whatever, it was mainly urban combat. So that was my first thought. I was like, I don't know if it's urban or what it's like in Afghanistan. So I did a little bit of research and just kind of figured we would be training for stuff like that. And of course, we were in the mountains in Colorado, so that made sense.
Got it. All right. So did you tell your family when you heard?
Yeah.
What did they say?
They were just real nervous. Just real nervous and supportive. But my mom was just freaking out, She just didn't want nothing to happen to me. And, they were just real kind. It's the only time I ever seen my dad cry in my life is when I left for the Army.
So when you left, you talking about Christmas break leave and you knew, or?
No, I meant when I left the recruiters to go and I was gone.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry about that.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, hey, I mean, I hear that, and it never, I guess fortunately for me, I don't know if it bothered you, but I never saw it from my parents, right? They did it alone. If they were ever upset or scared or anything like that, like I never was in the room. So I don't know if it affected, I think it would have affected me. It would have really probably shook me up. It didn't bother you at all, or did it?
Well, my dad wasn't like, he wasn't like terrified. I mean, he was crying, and he was scared for me, but Dad's real, he's been in the healthcare field. I mean, he's saved people's lives
right
for probably 40 years. I mean, so, but Dad was always real supportive, and he always just told me to kill those motherfuckers. So that's just what I did.
Good advice, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. He said, don't you damn hesitate. And I said, no, I won't.
Yeah. Probably the best advice you can get, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So as you're doing train up for this, what's it like? Like, day to day, as far as the train up is concerned, do you feel like this is really preparing you for what you're going into?
We had some real good ranges that they set up. They definitely made use of Colorado's terrain, getting us used to walking up and down mountains and stuff like that, and getting used to what was dangerous. We had real squared away NCOs like Sergeant Kirk and Sergeant Romesha and Sergeant Gallegos. And they just, man, they took care of us, and they taught us a lot. And they were hard on us. Not like they weren't like hazing us, but I mean they were hard on us to make sure we understood that this is for real. And right. The training was good. You could tell though when I got there, everybody was just itching to go though.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it like as far as gelling with the guys? And you mentioned a couple of the names that people who have heard this story know. What was it like, gelling with those guys, and how important was that for you?
I'm real shy. Takes me a minute to loosen up when I get to talking or, get to know someone. I got to meet you a few times. But when I first met everybody in the platoon, I think the first person I met was Copus, and then Kugler. And then I met no, I guess the first person I would have met was Sergeant G, our platoon sergeant, and he was from California. He just kept calling me a dick a lot. He's like, "What's up?"
Gotta love the infantry.
Yeah, and plus too, they were cavalry guys, and
right.
I was infantry. I remember getting there, and we got our orders, and it was I had 361 cavalry. I was like, what? I watched the video, and I know, I watched old westerns and stuff, so I had like a little bit of an idea. But I was like, man, what are these guys? What do they do? And, my buddy looked at me and he said, and he went to 112 Infantry. He said they're white infantry, but they do the same job, but they have less people. So I went from like 60 people in a platoon to 20 people. So that was an adjustment too.
Right. Did you feel like, though, after a while, like with the train up and, for a guy who loved the infantry, that everything was meshing well?
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys were some characters, man. They were some wild dudes, and like I said, they were itching to go. We had a lot of people that were, when I got to the platoon, that were having issues or wherever the case is. We had one guy go AWOL. Another guy was having like some type of personal problems where they had to like watch him or something. And so this is all happening when I first get there. And so I'd say we lost maybe like 3 or 4 people when I first got there. And we were getting people like, I think we got night like 2 weeks before we deployed, or something like that. Ryan Wilson was another one.
Mm-hmm.
They just threw him in. But a lot of the guys where I was infantry at the beginning, they wouldn't talk to me. I had to kind of, and I knew that, and that goes anywhere. You're going to have to prove. You can talk all the shit you want, but the proof's in the pudding, man. You got to show it, and you got to take care of shit. This is their platoon. You're joining it, and so I just took a lot of insults. They fucked with me a lot, but it's the Red Platoon identity almost. And I could get into that deeper, but it's just how it was. They're just like really hard on each other, no mercy, but it's nothing but love though. It's not like frat, like in that damn movie they got us playing like we're fucking tickling people and frat boy fucking morons. That's nothing how it was. Not even close. And they'll never understand how hard. And I'll just give you a little story real quick. This is Red Platoon to a T. They had guys come in, replace our guys after Keating happened. We lost people. And they wanted to add a little bit to us. And we got some guys. I was outside smoking a cigarette outside the barracks, and this guy that went to Blue Platoon come running out of the barracks, and the NCOs were chasing him, and they're like, man, it's just a fucking joke. Chill out.
Right.
They could have sent you to Red Platoon, and they would have fucking eaten you alive. And that's just who we were, man. We're no bullshit. It's we call it like we see it. And it was a real platoon, man. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's others from your platoon have echoed that sentiment. You mentioned Knight before. That's Kyle Knight. He was also a previous guest on the show, and obviously the movie you were referencing, The Outpost. We'll get into that coming up later on. All right. So, when do you get to Afghanistan?
I got to Afghanistan in, I believe it was June.
Okay.
We left like May 23rd, and we got there like a week later, basically.
Got it. All right. So you're on ground in June, and you got 3 solid full months before the Battle of Kamdesh happens. What is it like day-to-day life there? How much engagement from the enemy are you seeing? Do you feel at any point in time like, we're in serious danger, this is a bad spot kind of deal?
Oh, yeah, man. When we landed there at night and couldn't fucking see the stars, like, you're like, man, where is everything? And I looked straight up and I seen it and I said, okay, we're at the bottom of something. And we woke up the next morning. Romesha woke me up, and he was taking me on a just to show me the COP, and he was just like, when I walked out there, I was like, man, we're fucked. It's I don't know why they would put this here. Was my first, just overall impression. Romesha, the same thing. It's just like, dude, we're fucked. And, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, it's funny because other people I've asked, and I'll reference Kyle Nett again. I asked him that same question because, as an outside observer, when I first started studying this engagement in this battle, there's not a single thing that I've learned in my 20 plus years of the military that would ever look at that spot and go, this is a great place for a post. Like, this is a great place to put our guys. It goes against every single basic premise you learn about combat. And they decided, and they being the infinite powers that be, a.k.a. the military, that this was a necessary place of ground for you guys to hold. And full disclosure for those who don't know, the post was there for years before this battle happened. So it's not the first time that it was there. It's not the first time that it's been under attack, but never obviously to the level that you guys experienced. But yeah, I mean, and I remember talking to Kyle, and Kyle's like, nah, I never really thought that. I just figured it was where we were. And I'm like, dude, like, just watch G.I. Joe at some point in your career and know that you're screwed. Like, I mean, you didn't need...
Guy doesn't watch movies.
Yeah. You don't need a high level of understanding to know that when everything around you is surrounded by mountains, that you're in a bad spot. So, again, I think most of you guys just accepted it, right? Because it's what we learned to do. You follow orders, right?
Embrace the suck, as the infantry says. That's just what it is, man. And that's, I never once was like, hey, let's move this place. But I think as soon as we landed, they were talking about closing it.
Yeah, they were.
So I just kind of figured they knew it was a fuck place.
Well, and I guess the better question is, like, is there a sense like they sent me here to die? Because I mean, to me, and again, there are missions I've gone on throughout my career when I was in Iraq where I'm just like, this is bad. Like, everything laid out about this doesn't end well. Objectively, you run through every scenario in your head, right, about what happens and what could go wrong and how you're going to counteract it. And it always looks like you're drawing bad cards. And so from that standpoint, it's like, damn, you're asking me to pull off the impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I felt that way. It was just in a certain sense. Yeah, I felt like man, sometimes I was wondering, did they drop the ball, or like you're saying, am I just we're just kind of, for whatever reason, they really want to hold this place, and I'm about to die here, and we're all about to die here. But we didn't let it get us down, though. We weren't depressed about it or anything. Like our motto, it doesn't get better. It is what it is.
Right. So let's fast forward to October 2nd, that evening. Are you on duty anywhere? Are you pulling guard duty? What are you doing?
Yeah. I can't remember because they had us on Zulu time sometimes, and I just my nights and days would get so mad. I'm like, what time is it? But I remember pulling guard probably 6 hours. So I think I got off guard at like midnight, and you could tell some shit was going down. They totally blocked the whole gate. When I relieved Davison out of the ECP, he said, man, if you see, I can't remember what commander he said, they told us to kill him or capture him or something. And so I was like, okay, this is, and I'm sure it's been said a lot, but they would always say they were going to attack us with like 100 people. And they would. I mean, when we first got there, God, we would get into firefights 2 to 3 times a day. And sometimes they wouldn't even count the tick. I'm like, I was taking cans to get water or burn. I can tell you how many times I got shot at taking trash to a fucking burn pit. Me and Wilson, we're getting water one time. This guy, man, he almost killed Wilson. I mean, and Wilson dropped the fucking water. I was like, I ain't leaving that shit. And we walked all the way up here. I ain't leaving it. And I grabbed that shit.
It's a matter of principle now.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, fuck these assholes, you know. And we would just run back and get her, you know, get going and stuff and fight back. And sometimes they wouldn't, you know. It's just like they're just popping it. I would be sitting on guard, ECP, and I'd hear something, and then I'd see a bullet probably, you know, a foot or two away from me just hit the building. Like, oh well, he's got me in his sights, and he just keeps shooting. And I'm just like, oh well, I'll see your fucking muzzle flash one day, asshole. You know, and I would sometimes. And we would just wax them or call up a target reference point and, you know, adjust, and they just fucking smoke them. And when we got there, Red Platoon, that was a Red Platoon show. That wasn't, I mean, they were supposed to send us to Fritchie, and from what I understand, I don't know for a fact, this is what I hear, he didn't want us to fucking leave because he knew we would shoot, you know, kill the enemy. You know, we didn't have a problem fighting them. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a wild fucking West, man. It was nuts.
All right, so
every day was nuts.
Early morning on October 3rd, you're waking up to gunfire and explosions, correct?
Yeah, I woke up to explosions.
All right, what's the first thought in your mind?
Was
it like, here we go again, or oh shit, this is different?
I think the first thought in my mind was like, I said, where am I going? You know, I look at my chart because I'm fucking out of it. And I'm like, where? And then I start hearing the bombs keep going off and on and off. And I said, damn, they're fucking going heavy. And I remember Kirk being like, man, they're fucking laying it on us today. And he looked at me and he said, Jones, what time is it? And I think I told him it was like 6:02 or 3 or something like that. And that's the last thing I ever said to him. I never seen him alive again. And I went out to, I grabbed ammo and went with Danley to Copus's position, which was, Elraz Warren. And, you know, I'm just helping Copus out at that moment. That's where I went to first.
When you think about that moment, like the last words you said to him, and you think back on it now, I mean, obviously, you know, you don't say anything different in that moment, but it's just, does it bother you at all?
Yeah, it does bother me, man, because Kirk was just really good to me when I got to the platoon. He was just, you know, he looked out for me. He would teach me things, you know, like you wouldn't get in basic, or, you know, the other guys wouldn't care to tell you or nothing. He actually cared about his soldiers, and he was just a warrior. Man, yeah, it was just it's horrible, man. I hate he got killed. I was always with him. That's what kills me, is I was always around him. And sometimes I could say things to him like, man, hey, Sergeant, this is not, you know, like, we don't need to do that because he would listen to me. And I can't go back and forth with that because I wasn't fucking there. But it's just, it bothers me because when my parents came to Colorado, because I didn't even fucking leave, where the Army made me take leave during Christmas, so I couldn't go see my family before I go to Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So my family came to see me. And Sergeant Kirk made it a point to talk to my mom and dad, man. And he said he'll never be 5 feet from me, man. And I just wish I was with him. But it is what it is.
All right. So as this thing starts to continue to go, what's the first order that you hear? Like, who's the first person who tells you, hey, Jones, get here?
We have a board where, like depending on what time, because we'd sleep in different rotations.
Right.
And I had a board and it said Danley and Jones go to LRAS at this time, go to LRAS 1 with Copus. So that's where I went. And, honestly, I just fought so hard all day and I was just running and gunning the whole time. I mean, the whole day, I was, just running and gunning, man. And, I don't remember how long I was there. I remember we were behind the Humvee and Copus told us, he said, man, there's a sniper trying to shoot me back there. Y'all might want to watch out. And Danley said, man, let's move to the front of the Humvee. And if we didn't do that, we'd be fucking dead. Like a B-10 round, exploded right where we were at. Probably a 30 seconds later, a minute later.
Wow.
And we were there and we were, we talked guns with Copus, help him reload or, start shooting when we needed to. I remember looking to my left. I don't know why I looked. And I don't know if the guy was dead or not, but he was just, it was a A&A soldier, and he was in his tower, and he was just had his hands behind his head with his legs folded, set up on the tower, and I watched him get blown to a million pieces. Ain't nothing left of him.
Wow.
I don't know what I thought he was dead, but he jumped up right before the bomb exploded, and so that's when they dropped bombs for a long time, like RPGs and B-10s and shit like that, and mortars. And I can't remember how long they did. They did that for a while. So another, more would come in, and I remember one hitting right in front of us, and probably a shrapnel, a piece of shrapnel the size of a plate, maybe a little bigger, like a plate where you eat off of, and it hit. My knee was flexed, so I was crouched down, and that thing cuts through Danley's helmet and hits me right in my damn knee, man. And if my knee wasn't flexed and it hit me blunt, it didn't hit me on the edge.
Right.
Thank God. It'd have chopped my leg off.
Really?
Yeah. It hurt so bad, and that's what I hate about. I can't remember whose book it was, but I was there's Jones got hit with shrapnel in his knee, and he, they inspected him. He's fine. No, then no one fucking inspected me. I was like, holy shit, this is fuck. I mean, it killed, and I just my adrenaline just kept pumping. I said, fuck it, and I got over it. But I think they just remember me being like, my knee, just screaming it, but because that shit fucking hurt, and man, it was just it was chaos. I say that all the time, but that's just what it was. It was chaos.
So your first position from where you are at LRAS 1 isn't far from your barracks, so you don't have to run that far.
Right.
But I mean, and you're next to the aid station, and you're sort of between the aid station and the TOC. Are you able to see what's going on around you, or are you just so engaged with the enemy at this point where you don't have time to look around?
Yeah, I really don't have time to look around, and I'm feeding Copus ammo, and I'm engaging guys on the diving board, and plus we're getting sniped at from people that are on the north face and probably a little closer towards the diving board on the opposite side of the river.
And for those listening, sorry to interrupt, just diving board was an area of the mountains that it's just a name for the area of the mountains that were to the northwest, I guess, right? In that direction?
I guess it would be. Yeah, it's north something. Yeah, northeast. I don't know. Let me look here.
I'm looking at a map, so I'm just trying to orient myself. Maybe it's
I'm looking
northeast.
at maps. Not a good one though.
Yeah, I know. But regardless, I just for people for a frame of reference, I wanted them to know that you were diving board is an area of the mountain that you guys had named, just so you had a direction, so to speak, to fire at.
I'd say it's southeast.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
you're on the north end of the COP where LRAS is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you're engaged with the enemy at this point, and do you get a sense that at this point, whether 5-10 minutes, obviously you don't have a grip of time, but this is just different than every other time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, man, they're really fucking hitting us today. Like I said, we get shot at all the time. We engage with them, for like an hour or something or whatever. And sometimes, or they snipe at us for a while. Yeah, man, it's just the bombs wouldn't stop, So I started noticing, I was like, man, this is, we're fucked, basically. Right. Not like a depressing, I wasn't like, oh, we're going to die, I'm just going to stand here. No, I was just like, okay, yeah, we're probably going to fucking die. And that's what Romesha said to us when he came up to the LRAS. He had blood in his teeth. And he looked at me and he said, Jones, I need you to go behind the generator, which is in front of the mosque. Mm-hmm. And Gregory's in it. There was a trench behind there. And he said, Gregory's there and he's pinned down. He needs help. And you need to cover fire for the people running that truck, which would be Hart and Griffin and I believe, yeah. And going to that truck. And so and that's when I got injured and blown up. Is instantly I grabbed a machine gun, Mark 48, which is a sweet weapon, and I just started running, and I don't like. I remember like the bomb exploding, and I'm just kind of. But that's when I got injured first, and I got blown back. I can't remember how far it was in front of me. But the concussion, and I was kind of on an incline. I was running between the command post, the TOC, and Blue Platoon's barracks. Mm-hmm. And it blew me back into the smoke pit that Blue Platoon would sit in. And I hit the stairs, and then another one hit the building as I was going down. And man, it waxed me. I mean, like I have problems with my back to this day. My back is still fucked. It kills me every fucking day. Wow. And that's when I noticed it, because it was just, man. And I came to. I remember Copus and Romesha screaming for me, and I just kind of came to, and I got up and I told them I was okay, and I ran to, I started running again, and I stopped around the corner, and the RPG went right by me and went into the, I believe it was the headquarters barracks, and blew a hole in the headquarters barracks. And then another one hit it. So I low crawled all the way from the top to behind the mosque to find Gregory. Mm-hmm. And Gregory told me that to get down, that there's snipers, and I was in that trench for a long time. So maybe an hour or so, or two. I can't. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All right. So when you get to that trench, as you mentioned, you're there for an hour, but over the course of that hour, A couple of other things are happening. Most notably, the enemy breaks the wire and they're inside of the compound. Do you see this happen? Do you know it happens?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you first see them inside, what do you say? What do you do? How do you react?
We were, like I said, we were providing cover for like Hart and them, and you know, I was running low on ammo. Like everybody ran him ammo,
And by the way, Hart was in the truck you were talking about before that you were trying to
Yeah.
get to, correct? Okay.
Yeah, and they tried to run him ammo again, and I remember because I had to crouch down. We had to jump in and out of that trench, and I want you to understand something, man. Like it. And Justin Gregory was in that trench with me, and sometimes other people would be, and they get away sometimes. But we had snipers like pinned us down like bats, and like we would jump out. And I'm gonna tell you about Greg. Greg and I would jump out, you know, and they would try to fucking kill us. You know, like bullets are hitting right next to our fucking faces, and you know, and we're providing cover fire, and you know, like we're running out of fucking ammo. And I remember we jumped back down after they tried to run ammo to those guys again. They didn't even make it fucking 10 feet because it was just, I mean, it was all over the place. And I remember how long went by about Greg. You know, we pop up and engage them, and I was like, Greg, man, no one brought me fucking ammo, nothing. And I was running out of fucking ammo. And, man, I even asked people, bring me back ammo. And no one brought me ammo. So I'm picking my shots now. And I mean, I'm being honest, like you could just look up and fucking engage them. I mean, they're all over the fucking place.
And you're just seeing muzzle flashes, right?
I've seen them. I've seen people. I shot people. Like, I shot at muzzle flashes. But yeah, I shot at people mainly. I mean, they look like fucking ants sometimes. Like you'd see them crawling down, and I was good at this. You know, a lot of the other guys, they'll hold a point and be like, Jonesy, how the fuck do you see them? I'm using my fucking eyes and I'm looking. and I, you know, I don't understand. I'm not trying to talk shit about other people, but it's just like, come on, motherfuckers. Like, you know, this is real. This is, you use your look. But when Greg popped up and we were doing, I can't remember, we were just engaging. And Greg's like, they're in the fucking, they're in the wire, man. He said, they're right over there by the fucking showers. And he said, man, what are we going to do? Should we just, you know, because, you know, that's kind of, we were gauging them at distance. Like I said, we still had snipers and stuff on us. And he said, let's just engage them. And so we counted and we jumped up and we engaged them and we shot those guys. And there were other guys near the shitters and the mechanics bay mechanics bay. And truck one, where truck one was that Hart has taken to help Gallegos, they were all over the fucking place. And like I said, I was running out of ammo. We engaged and jumped up and down, and they started throwing fucking grenades at us, shooting RPGs at us.
I mean, are you confused as to what to shoot at this point? Or are you just moving as quick as you can, acquiring a target, putting a round on, and moving on to the next?
Yes, that's basically it. I'm shooting every fucking thing I see, basically, and trying to conserve. At the end, like I said, when I started running out of ammo, I was trying to conserve it and pick my shots now because I have like 50 rounds left. And in a Mark 48, you know, that's why I tip my hat to that firearm. Oh my God, if I could just shake FN's hand or something. I mean, that weapon saved my fucking life, and it saved Greg's life in that fucking trench. And it didn't jam. It didn't fail me one fucking time. And it stood right there and it even shot. I mean, no, I don't know if you've ever shot one in your life, but
no.
it's man, it's the greatest gun, one of the greatest guns I've ever shot. And so we engaged them, and like I said, so when we killed those guys, that we got their fucking attention, and people would come in and out of our trench when they could, never bringing fucking ammo. And
how many times I got to tell you guys, bring me some damn ammo,
dude, man, yeah, right. And it was Sergeant Days, and we told him that there's guys in the wire, and that's when he said, that's where that Charlie in the wire shit comes from. When I told Sergeant Days this, I'm telling you, there's a sniper, and he is literally, and sometimes I wonder like how I got away, because when we would jump up, he could have just shot, like, you know, like, I don't know if like they were engaging other people, they get fucking bored, because Copus was on the Mark 19 on the diving board too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't know, you know, thank God. But Days, we were like, he's like, enemy Charlie in the wire. He came up on the fucking radio and was screaming or something. Bullets were really, the guy had him, it hit probably about a foot away from his face, and then he was walking it in. We could see it, and he did that to me too up on the Hesco above that. He shot, and then he shot, and then he shot, and he almost hit me multiple times. I had to run in. He'd shoot me, and it clipped the top of my Kevlar or my Kevlar helmet. And I couldn't tell you how many times I got shot in the head in that trench. And Greg just, man, that trench was fucking. And like I said, they were throwing fucking grenades at us. And Greg asked me, he said, "What are they doing?" I said, "They're throwing fucking grenades." You could hear them hit, and then they'd explode. And man, it was fucking crazy. And then Daniel came in that trench at one point and told me Kirk was dead.
I mean, when you heard that, what did it do to you? Or you didn't have time to really process it at the moment?
It pissed me the fuck off, man. I mean, like, I was already doing my job, but when I heard Kirk got killed, man, I just kind of had this sense of like, fuck it. And like, you know, I mean, like it, and then that's when I found out, like, I was bleeding from my back. I took shrapnel to my back and to the back of my head, and like below where my helmet was, and like I'm like bleeding. Danley just pulled blood, and he's like, "Bro, you're bleeding, man." And I remember asking him if it was bad, and he said, "No, you'll make it." And you know, and that's, you know, I want to give a shout out to Danley. He doesn't, you know, he gets a lot of a bad rap, but Danley was a good guy, man. And
why does he get a bad rap?
He just, you know, he would get in trouble a lot. Sometimes he wouldn't listen. He just, I'm not going to tell you everything, but he just get a bad rap sometimes, man. And I think if you read the books, it says something about it in there. And, you know, he had problems, man. You know, I could tell you more later after I get out of that trench what happened to him. But that day, man, he was a shooter that day too, man. I mean, right. He did his job.
At the risk of not casting aspersions on anybody, I'll try to answer this question. Ask this question tactfully, but I get the sense that Gregory wasn't as engaged as you were in this.
Sometimes, you know,
I mean, because he's in this trench with you. It's just the two of you.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I don't know how else to explain this other than like, bro, we're gonna die. Like, it's just it's the guy's got us pinned down. I move my face one the wrong way, he's gonna fucking shoot a hole through my head. You know, and he gets a bad rap. And I'm gonna point to something later that will kind of put that to rest about Greg. Greg killed people that day. Greg did his job. Sometimes he had and I'm gonna say this, and I ain't going to name names just because we're talking about Greg, but there was a lot of people that day, and you know who you are, that didn't do what they say they did, that are liars, that were cowards, and I know who you are. Okay. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, you're not the first person to make that assertion that we've spoken to. Well, I'm not going to, again, we're not here to smear anybody's name. I guess the frustrating part of that is you talk about the unit camaraderie, right? And we were talking before about meshing with the guys, and, the Army goes out of its way to sort of create unit cohesion, right? It's something that leaders almost force down your throats. And in the moments when you needed unit cohesion the most, it wasn't there. And I guess that's just disheartening to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, if I was you, and I'm going to cut you off. If I was you, I'd be pissed too. Like, I would have that same sort of animosity and emotion that you're sort of showing, because it's like, dude, fuck you. Like, the moment I need you the most, you bail. Like, that is the I guess the sin of all sins for people in combat.
Yeah, exactly. It reminded me of just, I'm not even going to say that. It's, but I'll be honest with you. I was mad for the longest time, and I held it against people, and I still do, but I try not to let it consume me. And because the more I think about it, these people they've already accepted death, and have rolled over in some ways, a lot of them, and they're terrified. It's just the I don't want to mean it like they're pussies, like they aren't, because let me tell you something. There was a lot of guys that day that were fucking not pussies and were fucking awesome. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to make the Army look bad, but there were a lot of people that you're just like, wow, bro, like you're saying, like, you really dropped the fucking ball, man.
No,
like,
I don't think you're making the Army look bad. Look, I've said it dozens of times on the podcast. Like, the toughest guys in the world, sometimes the first bullet flies, they're not so tough anymore. It's the old Mike Tyson adage, right? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everyone's got a great idea of how awesome they're going to be when bullets are flying until the first one whizzes by your ear, and you got a new definition of what life means to you. Because it's those moments where it's not about your life, it's about the guy next to you. It's about his life and her life, or whatever it may be, and to put yourself and your own welfare in front of another soldier is, again, it's the ultimate sin. It's not what we're taught to do. It's not how we're raised in the military in general.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like and you're absolutely right, man. I do feel like that, and I don't know if it's just because, and I love the cavalry, but I don't know, like the infantry was just really different. Maybe it's just taught. Sometimes I think about it, and I was like, man, in all honesty, I got to give thanks to to God, and I've got to give thanks to my father, because my father taught me how. The Army didn't teach me how to shoot. My father taught me how to shoot, and I taught people in basic training how to shoot. They didn't even know what they were doing, and so I gotta give a thanks to him and my people where I'm from, because I think that has a lot to do with it. And I'm not saying like wherever these people are from, there isn't awesome people or hard people. I'm just saying, like, the way I was raised and what I was taught, and then what the infantry taught me. Maybe it was just a better suit, because a lot of these guys, man, and that's what I was trying to say, is they're terrified. Their life's over. It's done, man. you're going to be fighting one of these dudes. And we did. Feet away from you, man. This is it. And I don't, in like other interviews I've done and stuff, I would listen back at it, and I'm like, man, I hate sounding stupid, but I mean, that's just normal reaction. I'm just trying to get my point across is I accepted death, but like in a different way. You know
but that's, I mean? The thing is that's part of the agreement, right? Like,
right.
There are certain people, and I think this is all walks of life, but in the military, there are certain people who, aren't able to come to grips with their own mortality. I mean, I've told the story before on the podcast. Like, there were certain days where I would get on the roads in Iraq, and I'd wake up that morning, almost certain this is my last day on Earth. I just have a feeling. Like, how many times can you roll the dice, right? And drive around Baghdad before the IED literally blows you into a million pieces, right? And so exactly. I'd have this overwhelming feeling, and I could remember vividly, it would be so consuming, but I didn't want to let any of my soldiers see me get nervous or see me worried. And right before we got into the vehicles to roll, I walked behind a building, said a quick prayer, and just basically said, God, whatever happens, let me do the right thing, and let me put other people before myself. Let me do what I'm trained to do. And let me take care of my soldiers and let them make this out of this alive if I can. Took a deep breath, exhaled, and never thought twice. Because you have to come to grips with the fact that, look, this is what the deal is. This is part of what you signed up for, and you can't walk away from that now because the stakes have changed, right? Like, I signed up in a pre-9/11 era. I'm old. I signed up in a pre-9/11 era where none of this stuff was part of the equation. But it becomes part of the equation, and whether you want to acknowledge that or not, it doesn't change, the oath that you take and what it means and what it means to serve with others. And so, there are people who don't know how to do that, and they react accordingly, and we see them, and some people use the word coward, some people use the word liar, or whatever it may be, whatever suits that individual, and I'm not saying they're wrong for choosing those words by any stretch. But I mean, I'm somebody who just recognizes that, like I shake my head and like, well, we're not doing that with this individual again. That's for damn sure, right? Like,
right.
Next time we go somewhere, you're not going to be next to me because I can't trust you to make the right decision at this point. Because you really only get one shot at it. You really only get one crack at it to know if I think you can save my life.
Exactly. And, and that is why you're like I was trying to say earlier is the proof's in the pudding. When you do it and you show it and you live by it, you're the leaders in your platoon. You're the guy that's putting his guys before himself. And I was lucky, and all these people I'm talking about is not Red Platoon. I mean, a few maybe, but Red Platoon, man, that was a Red Platoon show that day. I mean, it really was, and there was a few other guys, absolutely, but thank God for Red Platoon, man.
I want to ask you one more question on this subject about guys who didn't do what we would expect them to do. Obviously, you're angry, and I think angry, is a fair emotion. And while I commend you for working on letting it go, because I think ultimately that's what serves you individually best, and that's just my opinion. I'm not a doctor or a psychologist or anything, but that anger can consume the hell out of you.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing you can do to change it now, but it's something that you have to live with and learn to deal with. But I bring that up to say, is the anger purely because of the way they acted, or because there is a sense that you feel there might be some people still alive today if they had acted different? And let me add one more thing. I only ask that because as I read this, I don't know that, and again, I wasn't there, so I just read it from an objective standpoint. It doesn't appear, as I read the events of the day, that any one death was necessarily preventable. Like, you could really look at Mace as the one because he had the best chance to survive if it had ended earlier, if they had gotten medevac. Like, he's the one individual that really had the chance to survive. But I mean, you mentioned Kirk. Obviously Thompson, Griffin, Hart, like, I don't necessarily know that any of their deaths were preventable. So I want you to speak freely, but I just wanted to kind of give you my background of the question.
I mean, and those are valid points. I think it's when it's your time to go, it's your time to go, man.
Right.
And like I said, it was chaos and there was bullets flying everywhere. I'll tell you this, one of the fastest guys that day got killed. I mean, Griffin, he was fast as lightning, brother. I mean, and sadly, he got killed, and so it comes for us all, and it just depends. But I would say this though, without going into a lot of detail, that there is probably, I would have to think, a few occasions where if communication was better,
mm-hmm.
or the motherfucker does what he actually says he's going to motherfucking do. And let me tell you, and this is where I was saying, this is what pisses me off the most is when I look at you, and I'm going to say this too. I'll get to that because I get to that point after the trench, but man, people are they're just full. I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost here. I got a little angry.
Listen, by all means, it's totally okay. I was just asking you about the anger that you have towards the individuals who didn't hold up their end of the bargain, so to speak. Is that anger just for that reason, or because you think like somebody else would still be alive had they acted differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Because and that's what I was going to say. Was I looked them in the eye, and they told us that they were going to do this, or wherever the case is. And this is crunch time, motherfucker. Like, we're going to die, and they're just so fucking stupid. It's just the only way I can put it. And then you just don't ante up to your end of the bargain. And I'm gonna say this: what took 3 hours probably could have took one.
Mm-hmm.
When it's just shit like that, and not anteing up, leaving us. And here's another thing: like it's like getting stuck in quicksand. And your fucking buddy just leaves you. All right, man. I'll see you later. Good luck. It's like that. It was fucking disgusting. And they know who the fuck they are. Yeah.
We've talked so much about everything that's gone on to this point, and I kind of, trust me, I've enjoyed all the conversation, but I do need to let the audience know that, you were one of the people when Clint Romesha decides that you're going to take the base back. You're in the crew that joins him. You were one of the volunteers that joined him. So can you just kind of give me the background on how all that transaction came to pass?
I got a little joke I tell people. I'm from Tennessee. I'll be damned if I don't volunteer.
There you go. Well said.
They like I said, they were lighting us up in that trench, and they hit the generator good enough it started smoke, so all of us could, like me and Greg and Danley was there in days, like I was saying when we were telling them they were in the wire. The smoke, gave us concealment, and we moved. We didn't really know where to go. I was like, okay, we'll just go back to barracks. So I followed Danley, and we went in there, and I can't remember who told me, but Raz said, it was Raz. Raz said, Jones. He said, come here, and he posted me up at the end of our barracks that was facing the talk.
Mm-hmm.
And Raz was like, pulled AV in. AV's like, was telling him something. I can't remember because, I was focused on the door. And then I almost killed these guys. It was ASG or A&A or something, and I almost shot them. And Raz told them to get the fuck out, and he kicked them. They were trying to come in there, and then Raz went out the door. I'm sitting there with Davidson, and Davidson's posted up at the same door, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, they killed Kirk, and just fuck them. I just want to kill them, and I don't like I remember I just felt disgusted sitting in the fucking floor, guarding the fucking door. And now I'm going to explain this how I seen it happen. Romesha busted through the door I was looking at. And, there was some things that happened in there before that, like engaging the enemy at the other side of the door. And he had Danley and Raz behind him, and he said, I need a group of fucking volunteers. We're going to take this bitch back. And that was his exact words. And this is where I'm going to point out some things. Where they give Gregory a bad rap, I don't know why they do that. Because the reason, I took the kit is because Gregory was just kind of having like a moment, kind of like he almost died, you know what I mean? Like, so,
mm-hmm.
And Raz even asked him, he said, dude, he even said this, he said, we're all going to die. Do you want to do this? And when he asked for volunteers, I just instantly stood up. I don't want to die like this. I want to die on my feet, and I want to kill these motherfuckers, if I'm just being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't dying like this. And I volunteered, and Rad said, fuck yeah, Jones. And that's when the whole Saul thing, they wanted a Saul on the team. And, Greg was just, but the thing I'm going to point out is no one else volunteered in that building.
How many other people were there?
Probably 15 to 20 people.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not fucking shitting you.
Wow.
And that's where I get frustrated, because a lot of times, like I was saying, Greg gets a bad rap. Motherfucker, there was like a bunch of people in there. And then, they point it out and they make it, Greg's a good dude. Like I said, man, he whacks people, like everybody thought they were going to die, man, and, yeah. So Raz was already on the team. Danley was already on the team. And then when we went outside, I got the saw, from, Greg. We went out there and they were given a plan. And again, I'm not going to say who they are, but I was standing right there when they told him not to do it. Don't do this attack, counterattack.
Well, can I shed some light? I mean, wasn't initially there resistance from Lieutenant Bunderman, who was the platoon leader at the time?
Yeah, from up top, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when you said people telling him not to, you weren't referring to him. I'm just asking if there's he had resistance for a variety of different reasons, and it wasn't about, hey, we're safer in here. It was just about like understanding the tactical situation, so to speak.
Yeah, man, but I'll be honest with you. Like I said, it's falling apart, man. Like no one knows where anyone's at. The
right.
Cook, the guy that came back got shot and he's gone. No one knows where he's at. Like, it's chaos. No one knows the COP is on fire. And it wasn't just Bunderman. There was a bunch of people standing there that didn't want us to do it. I don't know what the fuck we would have done. Maybe that's, and you're right. He's an
academic.
Exactly, and he's got to look out and think about things. But the time for thinking was fucking done, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is, we got to go. We got to fight. Like, they're literally like, we have nobody guard. Like, we were literally having a conversation in the back of our platoon barracks in the top, and no one's guarding shit. The only thing that's up is fucking Copus. So we're basically, it's like we're in a fucking gunfight, and we're just having a fucking conversation. And, you know, people start getting set up and going places, and we start getting a little bit of things going, and then, yeah, we go, man. And when we were out there, Romesha asked, he said, Delaney, will you go with us? You got another saw? And Delaney said, yeah. And then when we were getting ready to leave, he said, this guy who got there like 2 weeks or some shit, he was a sergeant. His name was Sergeant Miller, I think. He said, you come with us too. And we were the guys that went over there. And then we went to clear the COP and take it back.
Before you get deeper into this, Romesha in his book Red Platoon tells a story where Gregory, was asked if he was up for it, and he said no, and then you ended up walking over to him and switching weapons with him. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the more I was thinking about it, yeah, that's probably accurate. But like I was saying, he was having some, like, I don't want to like make it sound like, oh my God, like but man, he was just kind of having
well, it's that moment where he's realizing that I'm going to die, right? It's coming over him and processing it all. It is tough in that moment.
Exactly. And that was everybody always tells me it was a suicide mission, basically.
Right.
No, ain't nobody thought we were going to come back, I guess. And like I said, I wasn't thinking about that. I said, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, we're all going to die, anyway, so fuck it. And, it was just chaos, man. Like I said, I was just real surprised by people, and then lack of, help that could have been there that wasn't. And, but Greg, man, like I was saying, am I going to hold it against a guy when we're in this situation, when he has a freak out maybe 2 times, when I know of at least 10 or so people that didn't fucking do anything, that just cowered and didn't do shit. Mm-hmm. So Greg's a fucking pussy? Yeah, I highly doubt it. I've seen Greg fucking kill people. He's not a fucking pussy.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, and it goes back to that moment. And for those who have seen the movie Black Hawk Down, and Jeff Struecker was a guest on the show, but they tell that story, and it's accurate, where he's speaking with one of his soldiers after they come back in, and the soldier says to him, I can't go back out in that city. I'm going to die tonight. And Struecker basically says to him, I get it. I understand. I know the same fate awaits me, but what you do in this moment is ultimately what matters. He's like, I'm not going to force you to go. It's going to be your decision. But he's driving away, and then he sees him standing there, and he thinks that he's going to stay. And at the last second, he bangs on the door, hops in a Humvee, and goes out to fight. I mean, so what you say and how you act, or what you show emotionally, aren't as important as how you act in the moments that matter. And, right. And so you can cast aspersions on the guy and say that he said this and said that, but in reality, the scoreboard speaks for itself, so to speak.
Yeah. He's, it was just, it was chaos, man.
Right.
Everybody around was just not with it. And, thank God for Romesha.
When he gave you the battle plan of what he was going to do, was it just, fuck it, we're going, like, just whatever you say, Sarge, or was there any sort of like, okay, this makes sense, I see what we're going to do here?
He said, this is what he told me. He said, we're going to take the ammo supply point back and go from there. And then, because if we don't have ammo, we ain't got shit. And he, when we got to the ammo supply point, that's when he started planning and adjusting.
The rest of it,
other things didn't happen.
Sure.
Yeah, that's when he started doing that.
What did he, after you get to the ASP, What does he tell you? What sort of responsibilities does he give you?
So when we got around the corner, we seen them all over the COP, and then, like I said, Greg and I were engaging them. And so we knew they were over there, and they came around the corner a few times, and we engaged them from the barracks and shit at the ammo supply point. So Danley and Rowe go into the Haji shop, which is just where, you get Afghanistan knickknacks or whatever, and tobacco products. And they clear that, and all of the fucking, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of the guards and A&A are in there just fucking hiding. And I'm posted up outside, and they tell me that when they're coming out. And when we pull around the corner, we see them all in the COP, and this is why, I was like, man, if these guys were just a little bit more squared away, we'd have had some fucking problems. Because they were just, I think Romesha said that one time, it's like they won already or something, and had a lot of guys by themselves, and half of them dropped their guns when they seen us come around the corner.
Really?
And, yeah, and it didn't matter though. And so we engaged them and started shooting them, and we were shooting guys above the mortar pit, shooting guys on the switchbacks, and then.
By the way, switchback's another name for a mountain area that they just. It was actually the sort of convergence of a valley of two mountains coming through, but yeah, just so the audience understands.
Yeah, no problem. Man, it was just, Raz hollered at me and he said, "Jones, come here." And I ran over there to him, and it's, I don't know, it's basically right in front of the Haji shop under a tree. And I can see the helicopter landing zone. I can see the north face, the bridge. I can see a little bit of Ermul, the police station, and going down, I always say down, but it's up the river and around the corner, and the governor's house. And so I got a pretty good field of view. The only problem is I have a blind spot on the road where it curves. I can't see, where I'm engaging kind of to my left. I have a blind spot. And when Raz told me to come up there, there was dudes next to the LZ, and they took off running. We engaged them, and then there was other guys that were running down the hill a little bit further down the road, and we engaged them. And Danley was right next to me. He was my AG at that point, and he was just feeding me ammo, and we got the ammo supply point going. And Romesha said, "I just want you to stay here and man this position, because we're going to try and go get the guys." I don't know at that point what was going on, because they told me everybody at the Humvee and the mortar pit were dead. So, we're mainly, I thought we were just going to get their bodies so them fucking assholes can't use them for propaganda or whatever the fuck they do.
Which Humvee? Truck 1 or Truck 2?
Truck 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, that one was closer to your position at that point.
Yeah, that was the closest thing. And they got into the Shura building, had that, and then we just engaged them there for a while. And at about this time, and I always say it, they basically busted their nut. They don't really have too many RPGs and B-10 bombs. And now, they said the helicopter pilots were there at whatever time. I don't remember seeing them until I was there at that point. That's the only time I remember the helicopters at that point. And even then, I think later the weather got fucking bad, and they had to leave or something. But man, those guys waxed. I couldn't tell you how many people. Those Apache pilots, God bless them. They just waxed the shit out of people, man. It was some of the craziest things I've ever seen. I watched the Apache. I pinned these guys down behind this rock, and they couldn't. Every time one of them move, I get him, and they were scared to run. And Raz put a smoke grenade on him, and those Apache pilots seen him, and he just dumped his whole shit on them. It's probably one of the most violent things I've ever seen in my life.
Sense of relief, though?
Huh?
Was it a sense of relief, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, man, let me tell you, we were happy to give it back to those motherfuckers. More than happy. Fucking bastards.
During the assault to take it back, do you ever get the feeling like, okay, the tide is turning in our favor, or are you not able to get a sense of that?
I probably got a sense of that when we went around and we started waxing them. Yeah, I was like, man, you know, we got a little something here. You know, we got a little bit of turf, and you know, like I said, I knew as I started figuring, I was like, yeah, they kind of unloaded all they had, you know, and there's still guys out there. I know that. You know, I'm not saying they're quitting, but the level of volume of bombs just quit. Basically, you know, they'd be every now and then, but at that point they were kind of dying down.
Do you have a sense of what time it is by the time you guys get the post back?
No, man. You know, honestly, and I hate that, but I had no sense of time, because honestly, a lot of times that's hurt me, or, you know, maybe hurt other people as far as like awards or whatever. It's just a certain time frame that I can't remember. But it's just, and I don't say this, I'm not trying to brag, but I was just all over the place, and it was constant combat for me, constant, and so it's real hard. I was at that position for a long time, man. I couldn't tell you how many people I got, and they shot Danley right there. You know, the guy fucking snuck up on us on our right at the blind spot, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You know, shit happens, and he shot Danley in the arm, and I just couldn't get over quick enough, and his fucking blood and meat's all over my face and my gun, and I got a Mark 48 again at this time. I was going through, it was like fucking Call of Duty almost. Well,
Danley ends up surviving.
Yeah, but that was really, that guy, I'll never forget that motherfucker just smiling at us. He got it, though. Fuck him.
When do you get a chance, for the first time that you can remember, to just take a breath, like you take a Kevlar off and just, you know, sort of exhale and realize that you made it through it?
Late at night. It was nighttime.
Okay. When does the fire start to, the enemy fire start to really die down, as far as you can recollect?
Like when I was at that the position I was just talking about, like I said, I don't remember the time, but the towards the end of me being at that position, because I moved to the Shure building after Copus was relieved. Maybe that would give you a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of died. I wouldn't say it completely died down. Like the next day, it was basically died down. But I mean, like even after that, maybe like 15 minutes, you know, we get engaged and they would shoot, or they'd launch their. I remember it's starting to get a little evening time. They're just shooting a few B-10s at us. I mean, numerous rounds, and they almost fucking killed us with our own mortars and and I understand they're just trying to kill them and get them, you know, because they're danger close. But man, that was just crazy, man. I threw grenades like you would believe. Romesha handed me 3 boxes of grenades, huge boxes, and I threw almost every single one of them. I probably threw like 50, 60 grenades, and over the wire you'd hear them come in, and I just throw a grenade over the wire at them, and I'm just engage them. I see muzzle flash, I'd shoot the muzzle flash till it's fucking gone, and then I see them, I just shoot them.
When it all ends, and you start to get accountability of where everybody is, and what has happened to everybody, are you overcome by what you guys have just went through?
Man, I was so fucking just exhausted. I didn't really have an emotion, to be honest with you. I was just so like burnt out. I remember Knight trying to talk to me because I hadn't seen Knight for a while. I didn't know if he's alive or not. And like you said, we're trying to get accountability. It was nighttime. They still pop occasionally, and so we're still trying to stay up and guard. And I actually think I guarded until the morning. I didn't get to go to bed until the morning the next day.
Well, how the hell could you sleep after all that?
Right. I remember Romesha said, Jonesy, people were telling me you got blown up. Like, you got blown up a bunch when you don't even fucking remember. And like, people like, Jonesy, no, I watched you like get blown up. Like, I hit a couple RPGs at the ASP. And like I said, when I got blown up, and then at the trench behind the generator, I mean, like shooting our fucking helmets and RPGs in the mosque and stuff. And I was so fucking exhausted. Super exhausted at the end of that. And Romesha took me, he said, to the aid station. He said, tell Doc Cordova. I just kind of told him, like, I can't feel my back, and like my knee hurts, and I got like shrapnel. And he just stuck my ass with something. I don't know what. I guess it was morphine or some shit.
That's the best medicine, man. I got a couple of those when I was in Baghdad. That, like, to this day, the only kind of medicine I want. I walked into the aid station, told him something hurt. He goes, bend down, bend over, take your pants down. I got something for you. And it was just a needle right in the ass, and it was a miracle shot, because 10 minutes later I felt like Superman. No idea what it was. Never told me, but I just know I felt better.
That's what I was always guessing it was. Yeah, exactly. It never came out and told. I think Romesha told me it was morphine, but later. But man, I was flying high as a kite, and I went and found I went back to my barracks room, and I guess an RPG went in there, and then like there was like 15 people in there laying down, and I was like, I'm exaggerating, but a bunch of people. And so I just fell asleep on the floor, or no, a weapons rack. Yeah. But I think even before that, Captain Portis was there. Maybe if I can get because we were there for a few days, but Captain Portis came and with the QRF, and we're going around looking for bodies and trying to get into the shower and stuff. So I did a bunch of stuff. I was just constantly doing shit until the morning.
You had mentioned how close you were with Sergeant Kirk. I mean, he was KIA. Did you go see his body at the aid station or anything, or no?
No, I didn't get to, but I seen him in the Sheriff building, and that's Copus and I had to carry their bodies to the helicopter. Maybe like another person or something. But yeah, I don't remember if I got him. Because a lot of people, like there was I carried someone, and then I think I had Gallegos, and man, he was a big old boy, just nothing but muscle. He was so heavy. Just a massive human, just a monster. And I didn't want to drag his motherfucking body on the ground. So, I mean, I stressed. I mean, like, I was exhausted, and I swear I didn't want his body to touch the ground. I don't know, because my days are kind of blending together. I think that's what happened. And then that night, and they just dropped him off at the LZ and just fucking left. And I was like, I ain't leaving these dudes out here by themselves. Fuck that. And so I stayed out there with them, and Copa stayed with me. And we waited on a helicopter. I ain't leaving them out there by themselves. And we carried them to the chopper.
Is that hard for you?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I can't imagine. I mean, I can't. Listen, I mean, these guys are friends, but they're people you fought with, and being charged with being the last person to carry them off the battlefield is. On one hand, it's a sort of an awesome responsibility, but on the other hand, it's a responsibility you never want to have, for obvious reasons. So I'm sorry for the loss of your friends, man.
Appreciate that.
So when this whole thing ends and you guys get pulled out of there to Fob Bostic, and a couple of days later they torch the whole post. Any emotion in that decision to get rid of it all? Was it good riddance, or was it like we did too much to hold that place to just get rid of it, sort of deal?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of both, honestly. It's in some ways man, we were in that fucking chopper and that Chinook or whatever, and we were waiting for that fucking explosion. Everybody wanted to scream and celebrate, and then nothing. And I guess he did it wrong or something. They had a bomb it a few days later, but yeah, that was awesome. But I always wanted to go back, and they always talk about missions going back, and
yeah,
I was always down for that because fuck those assholes. And I just have I know it's their country. I know the whole spiel. I know all that bullshit. But I'm gonna tell you this: I'll fucking hate them till the damn day I die. They ain't never fucking getting a lick from me. But fucking hatred and my fucking gun. That's it. Fuck them all.
The going back there, I have often had the same thought that I would actually think I would like that experience. I know a bunch of people who did it in Vietnam, as well as some people who did it in Mogadishu, and
yeah.
I can only imagine how cathartic it must be, but at the same time, how overwhelmingly emotional I think that would be.
Yeah.
I think part of me would cry like a little girl, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. And I've watched that. I've seen Vietnam vets go back to where they had battles, and it's intense. And I feel for those guys, man. And I love Vietnam vets. I always try to talk to them at the VA, and they, I've thought about that. I might go back. I just hate them so fucking much, and I know, and I'm not hating them because I'm ignorant. I hate them because they killed my friends, and
Sure.
I know I was in their country. I know that my government does things, and theirs does. They don't have a fucking clue, and it's whatever, But it is. That's what happened, and I'm never gonna fucking forgive you bastards. And I might go there. I don't know. I might disappear. I won't be nice. But yeah, that would be interesting. But I hate them so much, and I just hate them, and I hope nothing but the worst for those people in that region. Fuck them all.
One other emotional question I wanted to ask you about. A lot of the guys have said that finding out that Mace didn't make it was real tough for everybody. Was it that same way for you?
Yeah, that was pretty tough, and they said somewhere like I knew, Cocos something. he found out by Avalos just randomly telling it or something, and he said I came up to him and patted him on the back and said I know he died. I didn't find out until he died until Copus was crying, and I was like, man, Copus is really crying. I'm gonna go over and see what's going on with him, and he told me Mace didn't make it, man, and it just, you know, I know I wasn't as close with him as Copus was, but I mean, I love that guy, man, and you know, it just pissed me off again too. You know, I just fuck those assholes. And it just seemed like he was going to live. That was just such the biggest
right
gut punch. You know, it's just Mace was such a. And I know people say this. You know, I'm not trying to sound. You know, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. He was such a loving person and a good person, and he was so nice to me. The more I got to know him, and he was so fucking strong, man. He held on, and I watched him, and I think I helped carrying him to the chopper too, and or was out. I was out there for a while, but man, he was just such a good dude, man, and just somebody I looked up to, absolutely.
It's been over a decade since all this went down. You know, a moment ago you talked about sort of your strong emotions towards Afghanistan and what went on there. Where are you with everything else? What sort of emotions still linger for you?
You know, I live with it every day, and I don't know. I just want the guys that died that day to always be talked about, and I hope their families are always taken care of. And I'll talk to a few of them. But it's hard. It's hard to talk to people, especially, you know, your kid dies, you know, and I spent the longest time just trying to forget it, and just, especially when I got out of the Army, just, you know, like I said, you don't forget it, you know, it's always on your mind, but I really tried to focus on forgetting it. And I noticed that it just seemed fake, man. It's a part of me, and I'll always be there, and it'll always be a part of me. And I get real mad, you know, I'm sure you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at the enemy. But like I said before, I even understand where they're coming from. I understand. I get it. And I try to be more open about it. I try to be more understanding about it. Like I was saying, like, Colin, I don't want to single anyone out or anything, because, like I said, everybody had moments that day. Everybody had moments. Everybody had a moment where they fucking freaked out, and then everybody had moments where they fucking shined and they did awesome, you know. So I don't want to take away from that, and I always want to talk about the guys. I try to, at least, you know. It's easier to talk about yourself because, you know, I don't like putting words in other people's mouths or anything, but it's, you know, I always want to talk about the other guys, you know,
sure.
Like Danley or Gregory or Knight, Davidson, you know, even the guys that came and replaced us. I mean, I love these guys. These are my platoon. And I try to not let the hate consume me. That's my big thing, I guess, that I deal with, is trying not to let it consume me. So I feel certain ways and it ain't going to change. And I know that, and I accept it. And I try to keep the platoon together. I've spent the past 2 years getting a hold of everybody and mending fences and talking stuff out and being there for guys because they're my brothers and I love them. That's my purpose now. That's kind of what I try to take from it, because it ain't ever going away. So I'm just going to try to make the best of it.
Well, I would tell you that, part of the way you process all this stuff is to talk about it as often as possible in any format, right? Whether it's with the guys that you serve with, talk about it with other people who have served, or family members and loved ones, and share those experiences. Because I think the more that you talk about it, you start to understand the emotions that you're expressing each time you do. And I think that's vital. And, it's something we talk about a lot here on the show, in the sense of how to reconcile the bad things that have happened. And by bad, I mean just, obviously war is awful. So it's those bad things, the bad things that you've been a part of, and compartmentalizing those things that you can't change and understanding where they are. I think you're there with some of that stuff, but I certainly, and again, I am not the judge of anything here, but just in our conversation, I think you realize that there's probably some stuff that you need to keep digging into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to help the other guys too. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
We just try to make the best out of the situation, and at least I do. And a lot of these guys have been homeless, have had drug problems, alcohol problems, and everybody seems to be doing pretty good right now. But, in a way that helps me too, because I can talk to him, like you're saying, I think I totally agree. I think talking about it really does help. Sometimes I talk about it and I freak people the fuck out. But I just try to, and maybe that's also too, and that's what I was going to talk about, was a lot of my frustration. And I'm not going to pick anyone out. I try not to do that, because I don't want to talk about anybody. You have your own problems, and that is what it is. And you know who you are, and you know the truth. And when I see someone say something that, bro, I was there, I was standing there, that didn't happen, or you didn't do that, or whatever the case is, and I try not to be too mad, because maybe they're having mental problems or something, or they're high on crack or some shit. I don't know, but it really frustrates the shit out of me, because you start getting this, just let the true story be told. Just be honest. There's nothing wrong with being honest and saying how it actually happened. You don't have to brag about yourself and say, oh, look at me, I did this and this and saved this person's life, and whatever the case is. No, you didn't. It kills me how just, and like I say, I try not to focus on it. But when I see someone, even people that profit off of it, makes me fucking sick. And you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. That's just my opinion.
Well,
and,
I mean, to that end, I want to ask you about the movie The Outpost. And Jake Tapper, who wrote the book, and look, I thought the movie was. I understood Hollywood takes some liberties with things, and from your vantage point, I would get, if I was in your shoes, that would bother some of those liberties would bother me as well. Because I think when you make a military movie, accuracy is the most important thing, because every single one of us knows what right looks like. So, but I'm just kind of curious, if you were asked to be interviewed for it, like, what was your role? Were you not asked? To kind of give me the background of that whole story.
So, I don't know the inner workings, because I'm not, I'm just going to put it this way. I'm not important enough, or I'm not one of the higher guys that, whatever the case is, where people want to talk to him, or he's the go-to guy about the event. He knows everything. So, it's just, I never got asked anything, and certain people that he, I just don't know. I can only tell you my opinion of Jake. Is I'm gonna say this just as nice spot. I don't care for the guy, and that goes into your actions and what you say and what you do. And I'm not gonna get into specifics, but I'll tell you this: they never asked me anything. They never asked me permission for nothing to use my name, and I don't even know how that works or where. I did talk to him for the Outpost book, but the only reason I talked to him is because Romesha asked me to talk to him. And then they have some type of, like I was saying, like the whole inners and uppers and the people that are the go-to people, they have this thing where like it's a movie deal, or who gets to tell what story or what bullshit, or who's making money off of it, or whatever the fucking case is. And it just didn't really seem like he gave a shit about finding. I mean, I read his book. His book's decent. It gives you like a layout and kind of what's going on and stuff. And but I was never asked anything. They called me. I got a phone call one day. They're already filming, and I know this stuff because people tell me. I don't look for it. This is what people tell me, and people that are involved with it. So they call me, and I get this phone call from Bulgaria, and I'm like, scam, decline. And so I think it's a fucking. And I'm a lot more relaxed, man. The more I get to talking, and but this shit just kind of serious sometimes. But they called me, and they kept calling me. I was like, what the hell do these people want? And my mom called me, and she said, they're trying to get a hold of you for this movie. And I know that they've already written the movie. They're already filming the movie. Mm-hmm. What in God's fucking green earth do you need from me? Now, I've already got word on the street that you guys are taking stuff that people did, like their valor, and giving it to other guys that didn't do stuff, or whatever the case is, or you're changing the story. So I'm already like put off because you're not giving an accurate representation of what happened. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't answer because I don't want to talk to you. I've already talked to you. You did your thing. You made your money, or whatever the hell you did. I hope them families got some money, and that's fine. And I appreciate him writing that book and getting the word out there. And but as far as that, man, I could care less. He didn't help me. I'm not going to talk to him. I don't care for the guy. I'll just put it that way.
It's fair.
Maybe that had something to do with it.
No, look, I can't pretend to know what that whole experience feels like for you. Nobody's ever offered to write a movie or a book about anything I did, which is probably pretty accurate. But from that standpoint, I would tell you, I can empathize, right? It's the best I can do. I understand where your anger and frustration comes from with that, and having a story told only from a certain vantage point, because at the end of the day, the idea of a book is to get people to read it, and the idea of a movie is to get people to watch it. And so whatever gets you from point A to point B, it's a transactional sort of, thing, right? Yes. It's 2 and 2 don't have to equal 4. But 2 and 2 have to equal, I bought a ticket to the movie. So that's kind of where some of that goes. And full disclosure to you, like we've talked to the director, Rod Laurie, and he's got his own personal story. He's a former West Point grad and everything. And I found it very refreshing to talk to him, but it's a different vantage point for him, right? Like,
I'll listen to it.
You did? Okay. He's
a nice guy.
Yeah, he was. I thought he was a great guy, and for those, go back and listen to Rod Laurie, and certainly my heart goes out to him. He lost his son, not in combat. His son, got sick and passed on. But, to that end, in talking to him, like I understand his vantage point, right? I think, and I think he operated in good faith the whole way. He wanted to make a movie about this particular battle and about the men that were there, all of you. And you can only do that in a certain way that Hollywood allows. Exactly. But I don't think he was ever operating in bad faith and looking at a way to take information and misrepresent it, right? If that's fair.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would just say, and that's what when I heard that Jake was doing a movie, I was like, well, that'll probably be pretty accurate because his book's pretty accurate, and then when I heard that, I was just like you said, it's just that Hollywood bullshit. And I've talked to other people about, and see, that's what I'm talking about is all these wigs and people, and I don't care to do an interview because I get to tell my story, the truth that I've seen and what other people did, and the whole profit thing, and talking to me about a movie, and because I talked to this other guy about some other thing about another movie or something with Romish, I don't know, but it was just I just get sick of it to a certain point, just the fakeness around it and the people that just want to make money off of it. It just seems fake and not genuine.
Sure.
It makes me sick.
No, and that's I think it's understandable. I think that's fair. They have different goals other than telling the truth from as many vantage points as possible. Right. Yeah. That's just the easiest way to put it. I wanted to ask you, when you found out that Clint Romesha was getting the Medal of Honor, what was sort of your feelings and thoughts?
I thought he deserved it. Absolutely. They told me he was probably going to get a Distinguished Service Cross. And I said, you guys are fucking crazy. He needs a Medal of Honor. And I'll tell you another guy that deserves not, and I'll tell you this, and I know there's stuff you gotta check all the boxes, you know what I mean, like to get it. But Raz definitely deserves at least a Distinguished Service Cross, if not a MOA. I mean because Raz that day, he did so much stuff. He was basically second in command out there with Roe. He went places that the enemy had been, and people had died, and Raz was hot shit that day, brother. He was on point, and I'm sorry, what was the question? I got a little distracted.
No, I just wanted to know kind of when you heard that Clint was going to get the Medal of Honor, what were your thoughts and feelings on it?
Yeah, I was super happy for him, and I really felt like he deserved it. But with that comes the and Roe's a good guy, man. He's obviously survive that and be a leader in that, something like that. You got to have a good head on your shoulders, man. Because some of the shit I see, I'll go hang out with him. And just the people that come up to him and try to sell him on shit or get a piece of his name or whatever the fucking case is. I would just be fucking so over that. And Roe's got to talk about that in front of people weekly. I don't think there's any man stronger. Roe can handle that. He's the man.
He's always said that, it's all your guys' award, right? Like you all are part of that.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't think that he's saying that, like just to say it, but when you hear him say that, do you feel like, there's a sense of where we're all in it, that's all of ours?
Absolutely. And this, we're when you join the military, everybody's different. Everybody has their own personalities.
Mm-hmm.
No one's the same. So, but Roe, I remember one time I was hanging out with him. He gave it to me, not like the key, but he gave it to me. He said, just hold on to it. And he let me hold it for like an hour or two or something. Or maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. But
did you put it around your neck?
No.
Oh, okay.
I definitely wouldn't do that. But I held it and just looked at it, and I didn't even take a picture of it. It means a lot to me. And Roe's the guy. They didn't even want to this is what he said. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm never the guy that's up in the talk. I'm the dude doing the shooting. I'm not in the talking. Okay?
Right.
But he said that they put me in for a Silver Star, and they said PFC doesn't deserve a Silver Star.
It's the stupidest fucking statement I've ever heard.
Yeah, and he said they put me in for a Bronze Star of Valor, and they thought they were going to approve it, and then they didn't. Same kind of thing. And then he said they put it in again. They had to rewrite everything. And Bunderman helped out rewrite that. Got me a Bronze Star with Valor, at least, is what he said. He made that a point to get that for me. And I really appreciate him doing that.
Well, I say that as somebody who's in a position to write awards and approve awards. I've never held to the maxim that your rank should be any sort of measure of what your abilities are.
Right.
And I've said this routinely about my own career. Like my first deployment to Iraq, when I got a Bronze Star, there was a part of me that genuinely wanted it because I busted my ass. Right. And the stuff that we did was super important, and it was a huge mission, and we fought hard and we undertook a lot. Like, part of me felt like, I earned it. And so I part of me wanted it. My second deployment, when I was a major and they told me, well, you're getting a Bronze Star. And I said, well, I didn't do anything to deserve one, because I know what it takes to deserve one, right? Like, I already had that whole thing. Well, they put out that, all field grades, all 04s and above are getting. I'm like, but I don't want it. I didn't.
Right.
You're actually detracting from the last one I got by giving me this one just because I showed up, right? Like, it's not a participation trophy, And so I think sometimes, that's one of the things about the military. It's just like old habits die hard. Like, you can't break some of that traditional thinking that because you're this rank, you're only capable of that. Nah, that's BS, man. There are a lot of people that day that were capable of Silver Stars, and absolutely earned every one of them.
Yeah. I would agree with. Yeah, definitely. I've seen so many guys that day that deserve, like Knight. Knight held an area, like Copus. Who's holding areas over here, like me and Copus. Knight held an area by itself, basically, with Davidson, I think, eventually by itself, and they didn't even give him a fucking Archon or whatever. And I remember we got ambushed our first mission outside the wire at COP Keating months before October 3rd, and that was a crazy firefight, and I got a lot of respect in that firefight. It was crazy. But anyways, they wanted to give me a Sergeant Kirk came in there, and he was going to give me he wanted to put me in for Archon with Valor, and Sergeant Stan agreed, and they put me in for it or something, and I'm not going to say who his name is. But he said, when I got my, they put me in for my Bronze Star of Valor, Raz went up to him and said, when's Jones going to get his Archon with Valor that Kirk put him in? He said, nah, he already got a Bronze Star of Valor. That will cover it. And I heard him fucking say that.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And you do. And it's just stuff like that, I don't care. I don't give a fuck if you give me nothing. I don't care. What I do care about is my buddies that didn't get anything, that, like Davidson. Good God, Davidson tried to hold that ECP for as long as he could, and he dumped every box he had. And you got to think about that initial push of what they were doing to us, just rounds. I mean, and he didn't care about his own safety. He did his job, and so Davidson should have a Silver Star. I hate to go through. It's like, you get a silver star and you get a silver star, but I'll tell you this: I know people that got it that don't deserve it.
Yeah, and that's the tough part of it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's just hard to see the flaw in that process, and chains of command who say will agree to do one thing and others who won't, and it sort of just clouds the muddies the waters a little bit, right? And
yeah,
it just makes
yeah,
it. And none of us did this for an award in our chest. Like, it bears worth repeating to the civilian audience. It's not about awards. No one cares. And at the end of the day, you can put on your ASUs and you can have a whole, top right corner of your chest that filled with them. And it doesn't mean anything other than you've sort of been around a long time, right?
right, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
The Army, like for those civilians listening, the Army gives you an award usually just for being in a position for like 2 years, even if you didn't do anything worthwhile. Like they give you one when you leave the military just because you did, I mean, it's
Yeah,
they're nice, but again, I don't think they define a leader or
yeah,
somebody's actions or the type of individual they are or who you want to serve with or any of that. So
yeah,
everybody can choose to take it differently.
yeah, and yeah, absolutely. It's I remember one time it just made me think of a story. I don't give, like we were saying, I don't give a fuck about them, but I'll display them, whatever. And I had them in my room. And they switched me to this place called Cold Blood, and Cold Blood fucking hated me for some reason. I don't know why, but there were some good guys in there. But I don't know what that whole thing was. They got in trouble. I'm not going to go in a whole deep dive, but very interesting guys. But I went in. We were getting a room inspection one day. I had my Purple Heart up next to my computer. Just sitting there. This E6 and this is I don't dog anybody in their job because every job matters, and that's the damn truth. And but there is a difference between a frontline soldier and somebody that is not on the front lines. And when you have someone that this NCO, he was a E6. He was a 88 Mike, and he switched over to infantry. So he just went and did his at that rank and did the thing at Benning, and then came out there. And my opinion is you don't get as much pull or respect if you ain't been infantry the whole time.
Right.
Especially if you're an NCO and you do it and you switch. So he's in my barracks room and he's looking and he's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. You got an enemy marksmanship badge. Ha, 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 ha. Just fucking laughing and shit. And pissed me the fuck off. And I went up to him. They left my room inspection. I said, hey, Sergeant, come over here. I said, what did you say that was? They said, oh, it's the enemy marksmanship badge. I said, no, that's a Jonesy don't give a fuck to do his job badge. He just kind of looked at me and it's like, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to say it like that. I was like, well, you need to fucking understand that we all know you're an 88 Mike. And when you come in here to an infantry platoon and you start making fun of dudes and their awards or where the fuck it is, they're going to remember that. So, fuck them. It was
good for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes I just couldn't let some shit go. But anyways,
that's all I'll say is good for you.
Thanks, man.
So you ultimately end up getting out of the Army, before 4 years is up. I mean, was it just because this was enough for you? Like,
yeah,
and you'd lived and survived, and that was good enough.
Yeah, honestly, I probably stayed in if they. God, and I hate talking shit about the Army because I love them, but they just, when I got hurt, they just didn't give a shit. They're just like, well, man, you're broke dick now. It's whatever, or you're faking or something. Like, no, I wanna do this. I want it. And like my injuries were just I'm so fucking hard headed, and I was like, I get over it. No. Like I was having I'm not going to get into too personal, but I mean I was having some serious problems with my whole back being blown, when I got blown up, and then I'm having some cognitive issues where I've just been hit in the head a few times and blown up, and then my knees giving out on me. So now I'm not as good as I once was here, and they're just I don't know.
So they medically retired you?
No, that was just a whole. I tried, I wasn't trying to get medically retired. I was just trying to get help. And that's what I'd always tell them is I don't care what you do, just get me fucking help. And it's just, they never really seemed to want to do that. And it put a really fucking sour taste in my mouth. And because I was treated like shit, and I've been treated like shit. I've been treated like shit my whole time in the Army. I've been treated like shit because I'm from the South. And I've done shit for you guys. Oh my God, other people wouldn't fucking do a day to save their own lives. I've done for you guys, and you won't even fucking help me. And they burnt me out. Like just the garrison. Like if I could stay in Afghanistan the whole 3 years, I'd have done it. It was just it was almost like they wanted you to fuck up and get out or quit. Pissed me off.
Regardless of the length of your career, again, that's also something else that doesn't define you, or your impact. And whether there are awards or write-ups or whatever, the impact is with the people you served with and those guys that you're still looking out for to this day, right? Like that's the impact. That's the forever for you. That's your 20 years is taking care of those guys still, right?
Exactly, man. And like I said, I love all of them to death, man. And it's been a 2-year journey getting a hold of all of them because we kind of go our separate ways. But
you guys plan on a reunion anytime soon? Getting face to face?
Yeah, absolutely. We've already had a small reunion. Not everyone can make it, so I gave them 2 years. So we've been having a platoon text for probably over 3 years now, and we all talk to when we find someone or someone gets over them being essentially a butthole. We can include them back into the text. I mean, and I got one planned in August, and it's going to be in Colorado Springs. And everybody, for the most part, is coming. Some people aren't invited just because.
I was going to ask you, you're leaving out the officers?
Yeah, and the proof is, I don't want to talk bad about no one or say nothing because it is what it is. But we just don't want. We want as less drama as possible.
Sure, that's understandable.
And
plus, it's just a different tenor. Even if the officer's no longer in the military, it's a different tenor when they're around.
Right, exactly.
And trust me, as an officer, I know.
Yeah, and man, I love Stoney Portis, man. My commander, he was a great guy. He was always fucking awesome to me. He's met my mom and I think my dad, and he was super nice to them. He's even wrote my mom and dad. I just want to say that, I'm not bashing it, there's just a few, but like Stoney Portis was just a hands down excellent dude. He's always been nice to me. And I always say this, my joke about Stoney is, anybody ever give me a Slim Jim the first time I meet you, you're all right in my book. He carry around Slim Jims and just handing people on the cop. And I was like, man, I like that guy. But he's a real good dude, man. I like Stoney.
Well, that's good to hear. Listen, I hope you can get as many guys there as possible. I hope they show up. I hope the bonds you guys have obviously go much deeper than text messages, but you get back together face to face, you throw your arms around each other, and it's just a different feeling, brother. It just changes the dynamic. Being able to be next to those guys and look at them again, and you get a whole new appreciation for your own life because they're still able to be with you. I think That's the big thing. It's where it really hits you. It's you stood next to each other on a battlefield, and the fact you're able to still stand next to each other, even if it's years down the road, it's a decade down the road. You know what? The minute you get together, it's like the same day you were serving still. Nothing ever changes in that group. Nothing ever changes in that dynamic. The jokes are still the same. You're still making fun of the same dude. The same one person who you were ripping on 10 years ago, you're still ripping on that individual again. And, you pick literally right up where you left off.
Yeah. I'm the butt of a lot of jokes. So yeah. That's me, man. It's all, and it's like that when we all get together. It's like, of course now, a lot of stuff with a lot of people. It's water under the bridge, man. We try to let a lot of stuff go, and everybody gets along, man. And it's awesome, and we have a good time, and the platoon chats on text get crazy, and even too, it helps with the like guys like, hey man, are you in this area? I'm passing through. Like, yeah, man, let's link up. Well, hey man, I'm over here, and they all link up, so it helps out, man, staying in contact, and it really does. It's a joy, and I'm just I'm putting this thing together, and it's going to be 3 days of Red Platoon madness, man.
Oh, good. Take photos, but don't post them online. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Chris, man, I genuinely enjoyed your story. Obviously honesty is a strong point for you. So I'm glad you were able to share all that with your audience. And I do wish you the best of luck with things, and whatever's still, toiling inside you, man, take the time to work it out, and make sure that you get yourself to the best place mentally. Even though it's been so many years after, I think, you start to have some of these conversations the next day or two, you probably start to have some thoughts and feelings that came back up that you weren't really aware that were still there. And so,
absolutely.
I'm hopeful for you. I mean, you sound like you're in a great spot, and
I am. I honestly am. And, that's why I don't wish no ill will towards anyone else or nothing. I wish the best for all of us, and, that's it, man.
Well, good, man. I'm glad you were able to share your story with us. So much there, brother, and we spent a lot of time talking, but I wish you nothing but the best in health, and get yourself back together physically, because, all this stuff will creep up on you in 10 years. You're still a young kid, trust me, but once you start to hit 40, it really goes downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. That's for sure. But I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy what you guys do, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, Chris Jones. Thanks for being part of the Hazard Ground.
No problem, buddy.
You've been listening to the Hazard Ground podcast, hosted by Mark Zinno. If you have an interesting story to tell and you'd like to be on the show, send us an email at producer@hazardground.com. And if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.